A pleasure to have you join us today again on the program Woman to Woman. I'm adorable at this Wage, and you know me, you know my stance, you know what I think about women. I love women and I want women to be empowered. But the idea that women like women still rings a bell in my head. Do women really like women with the PhD syndrome and all of that? Well, I have beautiful ladies in the studio, and they have come to set my mind straight, so to speak. That is, if they can, that women actually help women, and to see if women really like women. So we have quite a number of things to do today. It's going to be a potpourri of questions. So as a woman who wants to be a woman indeed, you want to be assertive, you want to be empowered, this particular show is just for you. So join me as I make welcome my super guest this afternoon in the studio. All right, seated beside me is Apostle Dr. Elizabeth Pedro. She came all the way from Canada to be with me on the program Woman to Woman, and she is the founder of Women Helping Women and also Agape for All Nations International. So she's doing quite a lot for women. But I'm here to ask her questions, so I don't know if women really help women. So it's a pleasure to have you join us today, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
And you look so good.
Thanks.
Okay, so welcome back home, okay? All right, seated beside her is another beautiful woman. She's also here to join us. She came all the way from New York to be with us on the program Woman to Woman, and she's also a woman who is ready to help another woman by way of empowerment. So join me as I make welcome Nicole Sean. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay, happy to have you.
Thank you so much.
You look so good.
Thank you.
So how is Nigerian weather?
It's hot and I love it.
You love it?
Yeah,
okay, so which of our foods have you tried?
I'm sorry?
Which of the food have you tried?
I've tried edamame.
Okay.
I like fried rice.
Okay.
Plantains.
And you love this? Have you tried the one we call akpu?
I'm a vegetarian.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
wonderful. Okay, that's beautiful. Maybe you'll teach me some things later today. Okay, seated beside Nicole, I have Pastor Rhoda Robinson. She's also from New York in the U.S. Happy to have you join us today.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so let me ask you this question now, Rhoda, because I introduced you last. We are talking about women helping women, women standing in for women, women bridging the gap for women. I get all of that, but let's ask you this thing now. Women and dignity. It seems that we have lost our dignity somehow. Have we?
In some instances, I think we have lost our dignity, but it comes from, the knowing. You have to know who you are.
Okay.
And if you don't know who you are, then other people will define you. Other people, society will
define you. Okay.
They will define you. They will put labels on you. They will say you this or you that. And now in the era of like social media, where there is what's supposed to be the perfect woman, and women are trying to live up to that standard, which is not sustainable. Okay. Because the magazines or social media says you have to be a certain size, or to be beautiful, or you have to wear certain types of clothing to be beautiful. But that's not true beauty, and that's what I call the fake life. Okay. Because you can't live up to it. Okay. You can't live up to it, and so some women, because they feel like they can't live up to that standard, they feel like they have lost their dignity, and even other women will pull other women down, because they don't live up to a certain standard. Okay. So I think women need to really know who they are and be confident in themselves, so that they can really create their own narrative instead of having other people create it for them.
Okay. All right, Nicole, let me ask you, how do women now have confidence in themselves? Because it seems like most women, like she explained, do not even know who they are.
Right. And that's the part, that's why this event is so important, because we not only empower, but it's about uplifting them, inspiring them, letting them know that they are enough and that they can do what they put their mind to. you know. So as we have this event, as we here to uplift and help, we also want them to know that, you know, they're loved, and they have to have that self-love. Without self-love and without knowing God.
How do you have that self-love? Let me ask you again, because we preach about self-love, we preach about liking ourselves, we preach about, you know, knowing who you are. How do you, what are the steps to take?
Well, first, I would say, you know, a lot of women go through a lot. We've been through a lot, and it comes from childhood, right? Childhood traumas. In some instance, and I feel that sometimes there needs to be some type of healing that needs to be done in order to have that self-love, in order to know who you are. And so while we're battling different things, sometimes we get sidetracked and we get sucked into this world of, you know, being of the world. And so I feel like, you know, if we as women take time to really dig deep and find out, you know, what the deeper issues are in our lives, that we can also help each other in uplifting each other as well. So I feel that self-love is really important. And
okay, fantastic. Let me hope and pray that some woman out there is going to take something from what you've just said, because no matter how much you preach, there are some who are so bent on doing what they see other women do, even if that is not who they are. They want every other person to determine for them who they are.
That's
okay,
right.
Let me come to you now, Apostle Dr. Elizabeth Pedro. You came all the way from Canada to Nigeria to help certain set of women. What informed that?
What informed that?
Yes, what informed that? What brought that idea about?
Yeah, like what we are saying, talking about women losing their dignity. You know, it starts from the home or their background where they came from. For example, a woman who grew up in a polygamous home, where their father have 2, 3, 4, 5 wives.
Even 10 sometimes.
Even 10. You know? So when they grow up in that kind of environment, they have limited to some certain things, and because of that, maybe they were not able to acquire the knowledge that they need. Maybe their parents were not able to give them the education that they need, or they have no formal training. So that kind of put limitation in their mind. And again, some of the women also make some decisions. Maybe they're married to somebody who is abusing them. Because of that, they are restricted, because now they regret ever going into a relationship, or because of that they hate themselves. So if you don't love yourself, like I will always say, the Bible says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. You can only give out what you have. So if you don't have self-love, you can't give love to your neighbor, to your friends. That is one of the things. Okay, have you ever seen a woman who said, oh, my child did something wrong, from today you are no longer my child, and throw that child away?
It's difficult.
You can't. No, yeah. Why? Because they love their child. We love our daughters. So if the same love I have for my daughters, I can transfer that same love for my friend, then I will not be able to, or I will not turn my back on my friend when she needs me. But because there is no love, you know, so for us to give love, we must have that same love. So that is what we are talking about, because I see in our society that when women want to pull somebody down, they use the fellow women. Or when a man wants to send his wife out of his home, he uses a fellow woman to do the same thing.
Okay.
So I look at it, when a woman stand up to support women, women help women, I tell you, the society will be a better place for us to live. Because women are so important. They have a key role to play, you know, in our society. And the society knows this. But again, the only way we can achieve all this, because relationship is very important. When God wants to help a man, he sends a man.
And that's what Pastor Oda said.
Yeah, there are things that God cannot just come down to do, like we are sitting here. He can give us idea, he can give us inspiration, he can give us knowledge, but again, he will use me to touch somebody. He will use me to shake you, to communicate with you, to bring ideas. So We can't do without relationship.
Okay, tell me now, Elizabeth, why are you in Nigeria? Why did you come all the way from Canada to come do this for women, to come empower women, so to speak, in Nigeria here?
Yeah, that is a big question. I was born and brought up here in Edo State.
Okay.
And I remember many years ago, I was in UBTH. A lady brought her daughter in for surgery, just appendix. She could not afford 3,000 naira to pay for that surgery. Then, talking about years, I've been away for over 3 decades. So,
wow.
Then this lady right there lost her son. Yeah, it was a son because of inability to pay for the bill. So that very day I stood, I said, oh God, if you help me and I become a nurse, I wish I'm a nurse, I would have just do this surgery without asking for money. Ignorantly, I was still a child and a young adult. I said that. So that is why when God finally take me to where I am today in Canada, I read nursing in Canada. I studied in Canada. And I see what my people are lacking back here. We can't leave everything for the government. Okay. We can't leave everything, but we know we can. I know that I will do my part. You understand? And also, I'm also a pastor over there.
Lovely.
And when I got that title, that theme was actually given to me. It said, go and restore the lost dignity in womanhood. How did women lose their dignity? Because of fear and poverty. Our program fear and poverty, yes. Fear of unknown. Women are so scared of stepping out of their comfort zone.
Risk takers.
They don't want to take risk, you know. And also poverty. There are still people that cannot afford a square meal a day.
True. That's why
Imagine
most women are
today we call few people. Yeah, we call few people that are coming for the program. They actually called and they say, yeah, thank you. You want to empower us, but we don't have transportation to come for the venue. Just for them to get a free 3 days training to be empowered with a little cash to set up their business, they don't have transportation to come there. You understand? So those are some of the things that when I look back, I was sharing with Pastor Robinson this afternoon. I said some of the things we took for granted in Canada, in US, here is valuable. We have to be grateful for where we are and for what we have. And she said, number one, internet, Wi-Fi. It's in everywhere. So here we struggle to get internet to communicate, you know. So I can't say everything here, but all I know, this is what I have passion for. And also growing up as a child, my grandmother was a midwife. I watched her helping people who could not afford hospital bills. So she delivered them for free at home. Wow. So at the age of 9, 10, I was already helping her to deliver the women. And I see sometimes the placenta will not fall. I will help her to take a bottle of herb and you know this crystal those days. I will give it to the women. They will blow air into the bottle. The placenta will fall out. So I experienced all that. From there, I continue to develop passion for women. You know, so women go through a lot as a mother, you know, as a wife, as a sister.
So exactly what are these women going to be trained on?
Some of them will be trained for different areas. We have soap making. We have some of them will be learning how to do cake, meat pie, fish roll, and some of them will also be learning how to do auto gilling. Okay. Yeah, so it depends on what they learn. Free of charge. And on top of that, those that learn meat pie, cake, or those they need at least minimum to set up their business. But those that will learn auto igele doesn't need cash to start. All they need to do is just go out there, make igele for somebody and get paid for it. So that is what we are looking at.
This is very, very timely. More so in this era of hookup. A lot of our young girls don't want to do anything. They don't want to work. Even the ones you see at small shops, you know, doing sales girl and all of that, none of them want to work anymore. You know why? Because we have lots of young men out there. So many of them that can afford to give them quite a huge sum of money, more than they get every month, working 30 days or 25 days a month. You know, and then you find a young man giving them all of that. exactly how are you going to talk to these young girls? You know, I'm asking you now, Rhoda.
You know, I think, you know, that nothing beats being empowered in the sense that, you know, why there's so many women stay in abusive relationships and experience things like domestic violence and all of that is because they don't have the means to leave that relationship. And so some of them stay because of the children, some of them stay because of fear of retaliation, some of them, you know, would stay just of fear of being, you know, being abused even more, you know. But women now must have a sense of self and a sense of self-esteem and worth, and know their value, know that I am valuable, you know, with or without a man, I am valuable. And so, you know, don't depend on a man to take care of you. Most women now, all they care about is wigs and eyelashes and weaves and, you know, I mean, you know, there's more to life than wigs and weaves. You understand what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you know, without the weaves and without the, you know, a man taking care of you and just, you see, and that sets you up for abuse. That sets you up for abuse, because you're not going to leave him, because, well, guess what? He's providing all your needs. You understand? I mean, what about you as a human being? What about your purpose? We all have been created with purpose. You understand? And when you don't know your purpose, then, you know, you just allow anybody to treat you any old way, and you don't have a sense of value. When things are valuable, it needs to be treated a certain way. You don't just leave diamonds laying around. Costume jewelry, yeah, you throw those anywhere, but diamonds and precious stones, you put on the lock and key. You know, you lock them up, you put them away, you treat them a certain way. So it goes back to knowing who you are. Because when you know who you are, you would not allow anybody to just treat you any old way. You know, you would have standards, you would set goals, and you would have limits. You would set parameters as to how far somebody can, you know, you set boundaries in your life, you know, so that they can only go here and no further. Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay, Nicole, what's the importance of entrepreneurship in the life of a woman?
The importance of entrepreneurship, I think, is number one, being able to know who you are, right? That self-love, and also having your dreams and your goals. I'm sure each and every one of us, we have goals that we want to accomplish, or something that we want to do, or that we're passionate of. This is that chance that we can dive into that. This is that chance that we can go for what we believe in, right? Being an entrepreneur, of course, is not easy, but I do believe it's worth it, because we're not only following our dreams, but we're also helping others. So it's like a cycle, right? We have that self-love. We continue to build ourselves up. You know, of course, you know God, right? That's first and foremost. But it also gives us a chance to just indulge in life as an entrepreneur and the purpose that we're supposed to be serving, that the purpose that God's given us. But more importantly, you know, as God pours into us, overflow, we flow into them, we pour into them. So it's about helping other people as well when you're an entrepreneur.
Okay, we have a lot of women who are Christians. In fact, nearly half of the pastors we have in this world are women.
Right.
And women go to church.
Right.
Oh, women were very religious.
Very, very.
But yet, there is this thing about us that would not allow us grow. You find a woman in church 24/7, 24 hours a day.
Right.
Yet when that woman speaks or when that woman acts, you're like, who is this? Where's she from? Is she from under the stone? Where is this woman from? Because she would not act Christ-like. She will not do anything that relates to what you see her do every day.
Right.
She's kind of the opposite of, it's like a woman with two sides.
Right.
You know, you go to church,
Right.
yet we cannot emulate you. We
Yeah.
cannot take anything out of your church going.
Right.
This is a huge problem.
Yeah.
What do you think we can do?
Well, I think that there's no gray area, right? So like you said, women, you know, they would act one way, but then on the flip side, a totally different person.
Sure.
So that's a problem, right? And And again, it still goes back to knowing yourself. You know, I think that there's a big gray area in regards to that. And so empowering women, you know, letting them know, hey, you know, listen, you can do this, that, this, and that. But what is this what you really want to do? What is your real goals? Because if you're one way one time and then a different way another time, there's a big discrepancy there. Very confused. And so our program, the event, I'm hoping, I'm praying that that's something that we can get through to.
So what exactly are you going to be doing on that day?
So there's 2 days, well there's actually 3 days. So there's going to be teaching, there's going to be speaking, of course. I believe we're going to be allowing them to speak. So there's like a little bit of everything there. A conference, so it's like a big pot of awesomeness.
A strong sisterhood. Okay, let me come to you now, Dr. Elizabeth. You've stayed in Canada for some time. What's the difference between an average Nigerian woman and the Canadian or the American woman?
That's a good one. Yeah, I would say the difference is very, very clear, because as a Canadian, I'm multitasking. You know how a woman, like a woman here in Nigeria, get married, get pregnant, have kids, you serve your husband, you serve your kids. Even when a woman is at work, is in her office, she's thinking about the lunch for the family, dinner for the family. Sometimes we think about what our husband is going to put on tomorrow morning, how we're going to prepare breakfast. Do you know all those things can be put together and that woman will become an entrepreneur woman?
Wow.
You understand? So when a woman said, I'm just a full housewife, you are not just a full housewife, because it is not easy to be a housewife, a full housewife, because you are doing a lot. So if you have to be paid for that job as a full housewife, your husband cannot even pay. You see what I mean? So, but in Canada, you will see that when you look at social media today, women are taking from this part of the world, they are taking social media in a negative format. Women will come up and destroy fellow women on social media.
Is that why
so we don't do that. Like in Canada, we support one another. We encourage one another. I'm not saying Canada is perfect, but in that part of the world, we want to support each other. We want to encourage. Even what you're doing, if I see that is not good, I'm not going to just come to you and say, oh, you have a bad attitude. No. I don't know what the motive behind your attitude or your motive behind your action. Yes. I'm going to first of all encourage you. Oh, my sister, you are doing amazing. You did a good job, but I believe you can improve. There are ways you can say things, because once our mind is set up in a particular way, it's very difficult to take it out. That's why I always encourage mothers. Encourage your sons and your daughters. Tell them that they are the best. They are not a failure. Because if somebody failed at school, I don't see that as a failure. Because you are not a failure. The person that failed is not a failure. But the failure is the person that failed or refused to try new things. You understand? So those are some of the things that we look at when it comes to women. But I just hope that as we continue, because this program is going to be a yearly or every other year, because I'll be going to other countries to come out and help. Yes, like during this conference on Wednesday, on Friday of it, the last day, we're going to be talking about strategy for avoiding domestic violence. We are going to have somebody again to the area that's our area of focus, health awareness. You know, breast cancer, cervical cancer, how you can assess for it, you know. So those are some of the things we are looking at. But I always encourage women, please let us support one another. Let us promote one another. Let us uplift one another. For example,
the issue of jealousy will not give us space.
Okay, for example, I met Pastor Nicole when I went to wait for them at the airport. We'll be talking on phone, on WhatsApp. I'm seeing her for the first time. She heard about the program, you know, and I thank God for one of my very good friends, yes, Pastor Kimberly Watson. And her ministry supported the vision And she's here. She's here. She's a woman. She jumped into this vision. She want to go because women's helping women. That's why she's here. It's important, very, very important that we encourage one another. If I see, so our mission is for sustainability, because I believe in sustainability, you know. So if a fellow woman promotes your business, if I know that you sell this thing as a woman, I shouldn't go elsewhere. I have to patronize you. So by doing that, even if it's $1 that you get as a profit, it's going to help you as well.
All right, ladies, our time is almost up.
I know. And before I go, I want to leave this. There are still good men out there.
Okay.
There are still good men. I'm telling you.
I can see one in the studio already.
Okay. are you talking about my husband now?
One in the studio, because he's been here all the while supporting you.
There are still good men out there, but sometimes we women, we have to also understand that no matter where you are today, Canada, America, we have a culture here. So we have to also try to do our best, because we married to a total stranger, because our husbands are strangers. If you meet a man on the road, you fall in love, so the relationship starts to build.
To help them too.
Yes, so there are still good ones. I still encourage women to believe in marriage, you know.
Women, I think that's one thing we're going to do. Women believing in marriage. We'll take up that topic before I allow you to leave for where you came from. All right, Pastor Rhoda Robinson, thank you for finding time to be with us. Nicole,
thank you for having me.
Absolutely, thank you.
And Apostle Dr. Elizabeth Pedro, wow, it's been so nice talking to you. We're going to do this again before you leave, okay?
Okay.
At least we should talk about this one, and that you talk about women giving regards to their husbands and all of that, because that's one of the problems we're having in this country. All right, people, thank you so much for being part of the show today. We're going to see you again next week with a bumper package. All right, so restoring the lost dignity of womanhood is what we've just talked about, and this is coming from women helping women. All right, we'll see you again. Bye-bye.